Kathy read the first part of my talk, so I can just jump right in. My name is Clare, as they said, Clare Muise, for those of you who don't know me. I am very excited to be with all of you. I haven't been to a Talitha in a while, and I love Talitha, so I'm really excited. First and foremost, I did cut my finger at work today, so it's like the most important thing that everyone should know. And it was it was like the lamest lunch I have ever brought in my entire life. It was like literally slabs of ham that was a little bit frozen from my wrong degree refrigerator and cheese, and I cut myself on it. So, okay, so lately I have been feeling very convicted about a specific topic, even for my own life today at 20 years old, almost 21, yeah. And when I was praying about this talk that I'm giving to you guys, the Lord kept calling to mind this specific topic, but I just kind of was dismissing it, like, no, like that is for me right now, and that is not for middle schoolers. But then the Lord reminded me that this is where it begins. This is where the specific thing that I struggle with started for me in middle school at your age. So this topic that has been really relevant and present in my life is the topic of speech. Our speech, how we talk about others, what we take in from others, and particularly how we talk about ourselves. And also, in a particular way, I want to talk about uptightness. So much of our speech involving others and how we speak about others, what we let affect us from other people, and how we talk about ourselves comes from a place of uptightness and having a lack of understanding of what really matters. And even though this is something that we have to work on for our entire lives, I think we can all agree that uptightness is very present in middle school, and it often starts there. So to be uptight, to kind of define it a little bit for you, is to kind of be tense or anxious, nervous or uneasy, and insecurity also stems from these things and the feeling of being insecure. And so much of our speech in the way that we talk comes from a place of feeling insecure. A way to combat these feelings and habits throughout middle school and as you approach high school this is really, really difficult, but to get a deeper understanding of what really matters. So many of us, not only when we are in middle school or in high school, have a very difficult time navigating what really matters in life and what's worth spending time on, thinking about, and what we should let affect us, what is worth dwelling on, things like that. And believe me, guys, this is coming from a very real place in my heart because it is something I am constantly working on. I have spent many hours, and I actually mean hours, praying about this, thinking about this, and I have to pray about it so often because I need so much help in this area of navigating this in my life, what matters, what I should let go of. I have to gain a deeper understanding and to learn what is really going to matter and what I need to just eventually let roll off my back and let go of. And so much of this comes from our speech, how we talk about things, and what we let affect us through words. And we know words are really important and words are powerful, right? We hear that God is the word, right? We hear that in the Bible. Words are powerful and they have meaning. So it brings me to the three things I'm going to dive into a little more deeply with you guys tonight. I mentioned these I mentioned these briefly before, but I'm going to discuss more. 1, the speech of others about us. 2, the speech of us about others. And 3, the speech of us about us. So number 1, the speech of others about us. So in middle school and high school, I was notorious, so in other words, famously bad, for having a stick up my booty. I was so uptight. I didn't let anything roll off my back. I cared far too much about everything everyone said and did. And this is something I've had to come to terms with a little more recently, I've always had a very strong sense of justice. And so no matter what, I would always do or say or seek out the thing in my life that I thought to be the most just in a situation. If somebody did something wrong, I would make a really big deal about it. I would call it out, and I would talk about it too much. So sometimes in the attempt to show someone that you really don't like something or they did something bad, we can blow up the situation 10 times more and make it more dramatic. If someone said something bad about me, I would make a big deal about it, and I would talk about it to a million different people, and I would build walls up with that person, or otherwise, I guess, a grudge. Now, don't get me wrong, there has to be a sense of care about the things that do matter. But there are dangers in both extremes. So someone who is super uptight about everything, like I was, constantly worrying or becoming upset, and like the example I gave of often blowing up situations even more because I was so uptight. And then also on the other hand, being too laid back, letting anything happen, and never confronting others or having little to no care. Both extremes are dangerous, but they are often what we see in people and in ourselves. You have to be able to let a certain level of what people say go. People talk, and a lot of the time, especially when we're young, people will take most chances they get to bring other people down. And it comes from that place of insecurity that I mentioned earlier. Guys, if you can learn now, or at least start your journey of learning how to let what other people say roll off your back a little bit more, I promise you, you will be so much happier. So what does really matter? I'm talking about learning and navigating what really matters, so then what does matter? Obviously, you're going to know my number one thing, which is God. God matters, and you're probably like, well, of course, Claire, God matters, duh. Which, yes, it sounds simple, but actually, it is simple. God is what matters, so the qualities of God and who He is are what matter. Who is God? God is truth. God is beautiful. God is love itself. And God is good. If it is true, if it is beautiful, if it is loving, if it is good, then it matters. Truth is a big one when it comes to speech. God is truth, so He is never present in a lie. And you are probably like, well, of course, Claire, God is, we hear this all the time, and people can also say things that are bad about you that are true. I don't know if you're really thinking that, but people are you're probably thinking this, and then you're totally not, because you didn't even know what to say. But the people who really love you and know you, such as your mom or a loving big sister or God, they know what is true about you. What is said by others does not define you or does not make what is true about you. Even if the negative thing someone is saying about you is true, or it's something you struggle with or something you're embarrassed of that did happen, someone talking about that behind your back is probably not in any way out of love. It is probably about that insecurity that I've been talking about. And remind me, guys, who matters? God. Who is love? God. So should you let anything done out of a lack of love matter to you in any life-altering way? No. No. God is never present in a lie, and He is not present where there is a lack of love. So someone who does love you, who you can trust, such as your mom, even if she is saying something that you're not a fan of, what she is saying is probably coming from a place of love, because she does love you and want what's best for you. So take that in, because that matters. It is most likely the truth, and it is most likely out of love. Even if it is something you don't like, such as correcting your behavior or telling you to go to bed. Now, this is where it's going to get a little bit more complicated. I know I said that God is truth, so what is true is what matters. And that applies very much to silly little things other people or girls will say about you, hurtful rumors, or stories that others will share. But because God is only in what is true, it also does matter when something is severely untrue. Because there is an absence of God there, and that does matter too, but in a different way. What people say cannot define us, but if someone is slandering, so like severely gossiping about your name or the name of someone you love and it is very untrue, that can matter to you. I did this incorrectly in middle school and high school. I was very passionate and, like I said, driven by justice. So if someone did something I thought was bad or was untrue, I would dwell on it for literally months and approach them aggressively and make the whole situation worse. So it does matter. And protecting your name or someone you love from something very untrue can matter to you and can be addressed, but we need to learn how to navigate this. Which brings me to my second point, which is the speech of us about others. How we talk about people and to people is incredibly important and one of the biggest obstacles and struggles in middle school and as you are approaching high school. I told you I was really bad at this, and I let things bother me a lot because I was very insecure and wanted everything to be right. And as the result of this, it was very, very easy for me to fall into gossip and into slander. Like I was saying before, if something matters to the point of needing address and it cannot roll off our backs, we need to address it with the person lovingly, but also here is the real kicker. We need to address it without going to a million people about it first. Yeah, without going to all the friends that we can easily talk about these things to, or like hiding it under like this idea that we like need advice about it, but we're just talking about the same situation over and over and over again. It is so easy to be going through a situation with a friend that you are frustrated with or annoyed by, and maybe sometimes what feels like rightly so, because what they did was wrong, but then there is a huge temptation to go and tell everybody and to talk about it. And a lot of that, if we are being honest with ourselves, comes from our insecurity as well. We may feel like we have the right to bring this person's name down, and it's some way gonna make us feel better about ourselves, and we wanna show everyone else that we were maybe right about this person or the things that we struggle with them. Also, I'm going to call us out here, guys. Sometimes we talk about other people in a negative way just because it is fun. As girls, we like to connect the dots or do a deep dive into situations and analyze everything about everyone. And sometimes it feels really fun. We may have a particular friend, or I guess I'll say like your best friend maybe in the whole wide world, and you have the same girl in your life that bothers both of you a lot, and both of you have really similar experiences with this person. And so you go to this friend and you talk about this girl. And I know how this goes. So now you and your best friend are going to go into every situation with your mind already made up of what's going to happen with this girl that's there. You go in already knowing that she's going to say something that's going to annoy you or bother you, and then you and your best friend go and get to hang out after, and you talk about the way that she looked at you or the thing that she said at this point. I know how it goes because I did it a lot. You already feel angry, so you pick apart every little thing that she does. And guys, we so often do this just because as humans we find it fun or satisfying somehow. If you are thinking right now about a relationship in your life where if you got rid of some of these habits and of this gossip, then you wouldn't have a relationship with that person anymore, something is wrong and that needs to be fixed. That is gotten to the point where it's what your relationship is built upon, and so if you removed the negative talk about others, your relationship wouldn't be there anymore. That's something that you may need to talk to your friend about, and that matters and it's important. Now we are on the other end of the lack of truth, love, beauty, and goodness, and guys, God is not there. Yes, what other people can say about us can really hurt and we need to let it go, but how often do we get affected by those things and then turn around and do the exact same thing? Letting go of what doesn't matter and being free from insecurity and uptightness requires us to get rid of both sides of this. We cannot let go and be free from uptightness if we don't free ourselves from the hold other people's words have on us and free others from the words that we hold over them. We would never speak bad about others or tear others down if we were someone who was able to let go a little more, someone who was truly confident, and someone who, wasn't insecure. Which leads me into my third and final point, and that point has been a real big one for me lately, which is the speech of us about ourselves. It is so important. Who matters?
God.
Who made you?
God.
So then who also matters?
Me.
And you definitely cannot be truly free from uptightness that so often comes up in middle school if you don't free yourself from your own negative self-talk. This really started for me in middle school, and unfortunately I think it's incredibly common amongst young girls. This has been a huge conviction of mine recently, and I've been reflecting on the ways in which I speak about myself so much, and I've begun to notice more and more the ways in which young girls talk about themselves within their relationships with one another. How many times do we hear, "You look so good today." "Oh my gosh, no, I don't. My hair's so greasy, but you look so good." "Oh my goodness, no, I don't. I don't like my outfit." We hear that so often. This kind of speech is so common to the point where we don't recognize it anymore. Guys, this has become such a problem in my life to the point where God called me to be proactive about it. And during Lent, he called me to give up saying any negative things about myself whatsoever. And boy, it was so hard, embarrassingly hard. It came up multiple times a day, and I would have to fight to not say the words that were about to come out my mouth. That is when you know it has become a really bad habit. So what that entailed was just not saying anything about myself that comes from negative self-thought. I refrained from ever saying that I thought a picture was unflattering or I didn't look good, or that a drawing that I drew didn't look good. I didn't ask if an outfit looked good or bad, and I didn't say anything out loud in front of my siblings while I was getting ready for the day, even if I didn't like how it was going. And this was really, really hard, and I opened my eyes to how often I do it, and it allowed me to really pick up on other people's language, especially the people that I care about a lot. And Lent didn't fix this. It didn't perfectly stop this behavior I still struggle with, but what it did do was shed a very bright light on this issue in my life, so now I notice it 10 times more. I recognize immediately when I fall into this habit, and I am much more proactive in stopping it. A lot of our speech and doing better with our speech isn't just filling space with more words. Often, that isn't better. Often, doing better with our speech is just not saying anything at all. And I learned that this Lent. It was better for me to just not bring it up at all. So breaking these habits doesn't mean now you and your friends become hyper-focused on saying super good things about each other or about yourselves all the time, or looks or skills. It is actually important to learn how to just not talk about ourselves so much. Just let it go. I have overheard many high schooler or middle schooler conversations between young girls that go a little something like this. "Oh my goodness, I hate my nose is so big. Oh my gosh, no, you have such a good nose. I hate my nose. No, wait, we're actually both lucky. We have really good noses. Yeah, okay. Or "Oh my goodness, that's so you." Or "Oh my gosh, no, I think that's so you." "Oh my gosh, let's just stop talking about it so much." How many conversations do we have like that, especially at your age and in high school? These are examples of ways we constantly talk about ourselves and what we look like or what we do, and it often gets to the point where we don't even notice it anymore. And there are many reasons why we speak like this about ourselves, and especially to our friends. And so much of it is A, trying to get them to say good things about us. B, trying to get ourselves to believe something about ourselves. Or C, pride in wanting to make sure others know what we think about ourselves. We often put disclaimers up, like we'll literally say hi to a person and be like, hi, my hair's so greasy today. And so much of it is because we feel insecure about our greasy hair and we think that we could look better, our hair could look better, and we want to let them know that we know that. We may feel our pride is pricked or embarrassed if we don't look as good as we could, so we make sure other people know, and us saying that we look bad in a picture or that our hair looks bad or our outfit looks bad is often us thinking or knowing we could or want to look better. And so we want people to know that we think that.
Yeah.
These back and forths with our friends are ways of getting our insecurities off of our chests and searching for the reassurance that cannot be found there. I'm sorry, but your friend just telling you, no, wait, my nose is bad, your nose is so cute, is not gonna fix your insecurity about your nose. The way that we have spoken about ourselves for literally generations has deeply affected every single one of us, and it's a constant chain reaction. That is why it is often better to practice not saying anything at all, and why my Lent was so fruitful this year. It is exhausting to care so much and feel like you always have to let people know how much you care. And how much of how you feel about certain things and about yourself that you often say out loud, do you say out of habit because someone else in your life does it too? Whether that be a friend or especially an older sister, how much do we mimic one another in our speech? So often, just because you come from a family that has a lot of insecurities that they speak out loud about, doesn't mean you have to do it too. Or just because you have a friend that is searching for that back and forth, doesn't mean that you have to entertain it. Let's change that. Let's make it different for our little sisters, different for our nieces, for those of you that have them, or even future daughters, and stop letting it matter so much. Speech is of utmost importance. And what we hear others speak often leads us to what we speak, and then what we speak gets heard and spoken about. So you don't have to grow up to feel this level of uptightness or insecurity just because you so often hear that that's what is going to happen to you. You don't have to talk bad about that one person just because you and your friend always do. It is so important to take what really matters about what others say, because that often leads to what we say about others and how we speak, and then that trickles into our vocabulary so much that it becomes how we talk about ourselves as well. But who matters most?
God.
Who made you?
God.
So who matters?
Me.
And if you matter, then what you say matters, and then the person next to you matters, and what you say to them and about them matters too. Thank you, guys.